Hey, if you had an accident tomorrow, though, seriously, would you know where to bring your car? You're going to go to V&J Auto Body. V&J Auto Body has been repairing cars for 40 years. It's a small family-owned business. They are a proud sponsor of ours. They've been with us since the beginning. Folks, I can't say enough about V&J Auto Body. State-of-the-art facility. They are one of the most certified shops in Suffolk County. They have the technology, the business processes, the equipment, and most importantly, the personnel to repair your car and make sure that it's put back to pre-loss condition. For your convenience, they now have two amazing locations, one in Southampton and, of course, the original location in Lindenhurst, New York. All right, so go to VandJAutobody.com, and they can be reached at 631-226-0070. Remember, V&J Auto Body is looking out for your interests, not the interests of the insurance guys. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the one and only Crash Course. You know, I've seen a lot of copycats starting to pop up out there. And what do I mean by that? Well, you know, the good old social media, right? Everybody's an expert. Everybody's a professional videographer, and everybody's a professional interviewer. And everybody knows everything today, right? I mean, that's what it seems like, right? If you're on social media, it seems like everybody's an expert on everything, and everybody can do anything, all right? And that's not true. That's not true at all. And I think we've proven that now for the past almost 5 years here at Crash Course. All right. You know that if you've stuck with me through these various iterations of the show, you know that by now, at least you should, hopefully you do, that, you know, this is the place, the one and only place you can come to get accurate, unbiased information that's going to help you, your family, and your friends. And, you know, hence our little mantra there, you know, we're giving you information you need and can use, all right, and advice you can trust, all right? And we've been sticking to that from the beginning. But like I said, you know, I start to see a lot of these like copycat things out there, and a lot of it comes from the body shop side as well. You know, these guys decide they give somebody in the shop a phone, and all of a sudden they're an expert at, you know, videography, and you know, it's amazing how this thing here turns everybody into an expert, right? It can record, it can take pictures, it can take video. And, you know, so they get somebody standing there with the phone, and they get somebody sitting down and talking. And, all of a sudden, you know, that passes for, you know, for a professional opinion, or, you know, professional advice and professional outcome. I don't know. I guess maybe in some capacity it does. But, you know, it has to be said that you have to do things consistently and come from a position of strength. And in this case, I would say that's experience, right? Over 30 plus years in the industry, both insurance and collision, myself. And then, of course, having a complete grasp of all that, all right, of all those the different things that go into that, right? The different principles, regulations, and laws, and also when it comes on the collision side, you know, repair techniques, materials, and staying current with the technology that is present and coming in the future, right? So that's why you stick with us, because we're the best, all right? And we're going to always be here for you. We're going to always be able to help you out when it comes to insurance or auto body matters, all right? And we also like to throw in a little history and a little news ditty here and there. All right, whenever we feel that it's either pertinent to the cause, or, you know, might be of interest to our followers and our listeners out there. So, on that note, we got a couple things we're going to hit on here today. All right, because, you know, I listen to the things you don't want to listen to, and then of course I read the shit that nobody wants to read. And there's a lot of crap out there that you don't want to read. Trust me. All right, it's boring, dry, and a lot of it is. You know, very difficult to understand or filter for the average person. So I do that. I take that all on for you, and then I filter it out, and I talk about it here. But in all seriousness, no. You know, I want to extend. It's still relatively the beginning of the year, so again, I want to thank everybody out there who does follow us, or who does, you know, stop by and take a look and see what we're doing, what we're talking about, and where we're going. Thank you very much. You know, please continue to spread the word. All right, we want to continue to grow Crash Course, folks. It's more important now than ever. All right, that you understand fully what's involved here. I can't say that enough. I mean, I'm at V&J now for over 10 years. And when I tell you the nightmare and the hell that's descending on people from the insurance side of things, it's mind blowing. It really is. All right. And that's coming from somebody like me who's been involved in this shit for almost 34 years now. And I'm even at the point where I'm scratching my head and going, holy shit, what the hell else are they going to come up with next? All right. And what I mean by what they're going to come up with is they're constantly evolving the insurance companies, right? And you know what I'm going to say here, all right? You know what I'm going to say, right? If you've been with me for a while, the insurance companies do what? They do one thing really good, and that's they look for ways to cut costs when, where, and often, all right? And it starts the minute we file a claim, folks, all right? And remember, we're all consumers here. And even if you work at the insurance company, all right, which I did for many years, all right, for almost 30 years, you're still a consumer, right? Because it's not, okay, so think about it. It's not like I work at a Coca-Cola plant, right? And I'm making Coca-Cola or I'm bottling Coca-Cola or selling it or marketing or delivering it, right? In which, in that case, you're really an exclusive consumer, right? Because you have nothing to do with insurance until, God forbid, you need to use it. And then that's when you usually find out how shitty coverage you have, unless you've been listening to us. Right. And then hopefully you've taken steps to take care of that as best you can. Right. Because I'm always talking about shopping your insurance, guys. Tell you that all the time. You must shop your insurance more today than ever before. You should be looking at your coverages, your policy every 6 months. All right. I'm not saying you got to sit down at the library and go through it with a forensic read. But, come on. This is shit that we're paying for. All right. And 9 out of 10 people have no idea until they have to use it. And then they come into my office and they're like, oh, I had an accident. I filed a claim and blah, blah, blah. Okay. How much are you going to pay us? What do you mean? Am I going to pay you? My insurance company's going to pay. Yeah, they're going to pay after you pay. Right. And a lot of people have no idea. They have no idea what their agent or their broker put down on paper. And in a lot of instances, folks, it's like $1,000. What am I talking about? Deductibles. Right. I'm talking about that little thing, that the little elephant, big elephant in the room, all right, that nobody ever wants to talk about or anybody wants to remember. Everybody gets amnesia. I don't know. Hold on. I think it's 200. No, it's actually 2,000. You had the 2 right. You just need to add another 0 on. All right. And don't laugh. I'm seeing a lot more $2,000 deductibles. All right. I don't know who in their right mind would ever think that that's a great thing to do. But at any rate, I digress here. So it's more critical than ever before that as consumers we're involved. I use the Coca-Cola analogy that if you're working in a factory or you're working in a car dealership or you're running around, you're building houses or whatever the hell you are. All right. You have no contact with insurance other than the freaking bill that comes every month. Or if you're fortunate enough, you pay it once a year. Right. Here you go. There's my check for my premium. Terrific. Take it easy. Never going to hear from you again, right? Unless you wrap your car up or, God forbid, something else happens. All right. But if you're in that industry, okay, if you're an insurance person, like I was for many, many decades, all right, not only am I a consumer, but I'm actually involved in that very industry as well, right? So, and I think some of us, we get lost in that, right? When we work in the insurance industry, we forget that we're a consumer also, all right? And if you get in an accident, you're gonna remember very quickly, okay? Because I can assure you that working at an insurance company gives you no benefit, okay? If anything, it's actually more of a headache, all right? Especially if you're working for the company that insures you, your personal life. Then it's a real Disney World trip, all right? Because somebody else got to look at your car, the car's got to get fixed over here, and it's a whole big crock of shit, all right? But you're still a consumer, all right? And my point here is that we still need to be intimately involved in this. And I've used the joke, from time to time about, nobody's going to open up a policy or nobody's going to sit down and over a beer. Hey, how you doing, Joe? I haven't seen you in a while. Oh, by the way, did you hear what State Farm's doing? Or did you hear what else? Nobody's going to talk about that, right? First of all, it's boring. First of all, nobody gives a shit. And secondly, most people have no clue. Right? Insurance is just one of those things we're told from a young age. The minute we start looking like we want to drive or something like that, right away, you got to have insurance. All you start hearing, you got to have insurance. Make sure you have good insurance. By the way, what's the definition of good insurance? I don't know, right? But I'll tell you this, though. I can honestly say that 35 years ago, I could probably give you a real definitive explanation for what is good insurance, right? Because you had companies that were good companies, right? These were companies that were invested in their policyholders, okay? Proof of that is when I started in the industry back in 86, folks, there were people that would actually want to display who insured them. You would see State Farm, the Good Neighbor stickers on people's bumpers. You would say USAA stickers on people's bumpers, right? Allstate, the good hands, right? You have the picture of the hand, and then you have the pic. Now, if they had a decal, it would be a hand that went like this. You know, whoops, we dropped you. You okay? You don't see that anymore, right? Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares if they're with the Allstate or USAA or State Farm. Nobody gives a rat's ass. And you know what? Either does the insurance company, and it shows. Okay? It shows. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about shit anymore. All they care about is the bottom line and the dollar. That's it. That's it. And listen, in all fairness, I think a lot of the consumers do as well. You know, and hence the birth of companies like Geico, Progressive, and some of these smaller Intergons and, you know, National General, some of these smaller operations, which, by the way, some of them have been gobbled up by the bigger guys too. You got to be very careful. They tell you you're with Intergon or some other place, and then you find out it's Allstate. So, yeah. So I mean, you know, I don't think the companies, you know, in fact, it's not even. I don't think. I know the companies don't give a shit. They literally don't give a shit. Think about it. You're paying them for a service, okay? Under contract, right? Contract. That means both parties have expectations and rights, right? Which we talk about all the time here. Which, by the way, see this little thing here? This is Fender Bender magazine. This is one of the things I read that you don't. You wouldn't want to read. First of all, you wouldn't know. It wouldn't pertain to 99% of our listeners out there. But there are articles in here that are of particular interest that I feel, you know, and this is all between the industry, fender bender. This is all an intra-industry type of thing, right? But the shit that they talk about in here is really directed at consumers a lot of times. All right. In fact, this article here, help your customers get reimbursed for their claims. All right. So they actually had some kind of seminar or some shit, I don't know, somewhere. They're always getting together, these guys. They love to hear each other talk. The body shop, you know, associations, you know, they have these meetings and they have these talking heads and these, you know, swinging dicks get up there and, how you doing? I owned the body shop for 40 years. I'm going to tell you how it's done. Blah, blah, blah. And they all love to hear each other talk, right? They really do. All of them. They all, you know, pat each other on the back, right? Same with the insurance companies. They'll send a couple representatives down there. Now we got Joe Blow over here who's going to stand up from Allstate, and he's going to tell us a couple of things. It's all horse shit. I went to one. I went to SEMA. I went to 5 years ago. I went down to Atlanta. Big SEMA event. Woo! SEMA's a big. It's a big nationwide thing where everybody comes together, and you have companies that show up to display the latest technologies and all this other shit. You know, machines and all this crap. And then they have various speakers, guest speakers, and all this other stuff. And it's always the same shit over and over again, right? How we're going to help the customer, how we're going to do this, you know. And I love the way now it gets paraphrased. And our insurance partners. Hey, since when is the insurance company a partner of your business? All right. Are you running an auto body shop, or are you running a charity event? Are you running an independent business, or are you running some kind of a co-op here? Right? I don't get that. I really don't. These guys will stand up at the podium and, okay, we gotta help our customers get reimbursed for their claim. Meanwhile, 8 out of 10 of these jerk-offs are all working with the insurance company, right? They're working with the insurance companies, folks. All right? You know what that means. They're either involved in a direct repair program or a sponsored shop program or, you know, I don't know, pick something. But yet you're going to stand on a podium. All right, where the hell did this take place? Oh, here we go. ASCO Nobel, Senior Services Consultant. Tim Ronak, a business consultant. That's another thing. You get the business consultants and the business consultant managers, corporations. All these guys that don't know shit. They don't know shit. I was in the auto body industry for 40 years. Yeah, and so what? And here's what this is. So this was at SEMA in Las Vegas, another big place they like to go. Vegas, Atlanta. Insurers are pushing back against rates and fully reimbursing OEM procedures. And many consumers assume the insurer's decisions are final. It's also critical that shops make it clear that they aren't padding the bill, simply performing necessary repairs to restore by helping empower consumers. I love that word too, empower, right? Isn't that a word that died a slow death back in the 90s? Empowerment. Remember that one? It's time to become empowered. Empower your people. Give me a break. The only time you're empowered is if you're controlling the outcome or you have a lot of money. Right? I'm just saying here, folks. Another word salad that came out of the 90s. Another feel-good thing here. By helping empower consumers, shops can help ensure everyone involved in the repair process gets fair reimbursement. Bullshit. That's what I say to that. Okay? There's nothing fair in the process, first of all. Okay? Now, again, here's the problem with these guys, with these talking heads that show up at these different things across the country. 90% of the country doesn't operate like the Northeast, folks, and we live in the Northeast. We live here in the good old New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. That ain't happening in 85% of the country. All right, so these guys can get up there and talk in these lofty, different phrases and lofty words and all this high-fluted, sounding stuff is all great, right? Sounds great, but when the pedal hits the, what do they say? When the wheel hits the pavement, when the rubber hits the road, man, I don't know. A lot of this stuff just goes right out the window. All right, it sounds good, and listen, if it worked this way, it'd be great, but it doesn't. All right, I mean, they want to talk about shit here like, I'll show you an example here. The importance of proper repairs. Or how about this one? What rights do consumers have? They have a right to choose a repair shop. They have a right to OEM standards. They have a right to full indemnification, not partial reimbursement. I'm not really sure that you differentiate there. Partial reimbursement would apply to rental, right? So you have rental reimbursement on your policy. I've explained this before. Okay? I've explained this in many, many shows over the years. The rental that you have in your policy is not rental insurance. It's not rental coverage. There's a reason why they call it rental reimbursement, because you're being partially reimbursed for something that you're taking part in, right? Which is renting a car. So that's why that's called rental reimbursement. It's not called rental insurance or rental coverage. So I don't know, maybe he's talking about that, right? Partial reimbursement, or maybe he's talking about, companies that take betterment or depreciate things and stuff like that. I mean, it's in the policy, right? Got to read the policy, man. Most policies stipulate betterment, depreciation. All right. So as far as the partial reimbursement stuff, I don't know how you're really maneuvering around that. All right. But everybody gets fully indemnified. Now that indemnification is a fancy word. You've heard me use that here, right? Makes you sound real important. All that means is that the insurance company is bound legally and contractually to make sure that they fully reimburse you, okay, or you get fully paid for your claim for restoring that car to a pre-loss condition. That's what indemnification means, all right? And it's contractual, it's a legal term. It means that every penny of that claim that you're entitled to, all right, needs to be paid to you as it relates or pertains to the fixing of your car. Okay, so that's what indemnification. Now, when you say no partial reimbursement, again, are we talking about rental? Are we talking about other things like that? But yes, if you have a fender and a hood and they're all rusted and rotted out, and you're driving around like that, and now you get hit, bam! Right now, I'm like, oh shit! Now I got to put a new part on your car. Well, you didn't have a new part on the car to begin with; it was rotted and rusted. But I got to put it on now they're going to depreciate it. Well, that's partial reimbursement, right? The fender costs $100, but I'm only going to give you $25. That's partially reimbursed. But you're still being fully indemnified. Okay? You follow the bouncing ball here. You're still being fully indemnified because they are fully indemnifying you for the claim. They're adjusting that on a partial reimbursement on certain items. Okay? But the indemnification has been satisfied because they've agreed that, yes, you need a fender, a hood, a light, and something else you need to be painted. However, your car looked like it was ready for the junkyard, so, we have a right to make that adjustment. All right? So I don't know. Maybe that's what they mean there. I have no idea. Again, sounds great. Sounds all lofty language. Sounds important. Sounds cool. But when the rubber hits the road, man, at the end of the day, these guys know full well there's no maneuvering around that. All right? You can ask, and I've talked about this before. You can ask. You can call your claim rep and say, hey, you know what, you guys, you took 75% depreciation. Can we talk about that? Can you reduce that? And you'd be surprised, and a lot of times they might. They might turn around and say, hey, you know what, I can take another 10% off of that. Right? That's the negotiating process. So rights do consumers have? You've heard me talk about this from time to time, folks, all the time, right? I hit this over the head all the time about understanding your rights and expectations in the policy. Very important. This is why I stress here, Crash Course, please be involved in what you're buying when it comes to insurance. And today, it's more important than ever when I started the show, because why? Because the insurance companies are constantly evolving, folks, and they're not evolving for the better, for the worst. As far as consumers, you and I, they're evolving for the worst. All right. And I don't say that to be petty, and I don't say that to be some, jackass body shop guy. This is coming from a guy that worked in that industry for almost 30 years. And I'm telling you right now, the changes I've seen are not for the benefit of the consumer. They're not for the benefit of us. Okay. They are for the benefit of the insurance company. Now, mind you, they do a very damn good job with making sure they stay within the guide rails, all right, of the contract. But it's within those guardrails that they've identified a lot of opportunities to really screw you. All right? Really screw you. And it's a real travesty. It's an outrage here in New York State. And again, if you're from other parts of the country, that's cool. Hang with us. You'll still pick up stuff. But understand that we're in New York State here. And New York State is a separate animal for most of the country. And I would argue probably Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Jersey as well. Right? But I don't live there. I don't work there. I'm not as well versed in those areas in those states when it comes to their insurance law. I know about them, obviously, because I've interacted with different aspects of that over my insurance career. But I would definitely consider them all in the same light as New York, right? With respect to insurance regulations and things like that. All right. So here in New York State, and I'm sure in other parts of the country, right? Because a lot of these policies are, for the most part, they're ubiquitous. All right. They differ a little bit from state to state according to what each state feels is more important or not and needs to be mandatory in the policy. But they're basically boilerplate, right? And then they get tweaked a little bit wherever it is they're doing business, whatever state. But here in New York State, it's becoming a nightmare, folks. All right, it's becoming a nightmare. All right, and I don't say that with chagrin or anything like that. But it's really, really getting difficult, and I'm good. All right, not to blow smoke up my own ass here, man, but I'm good. All right, I'm very good at negotiating. I'm very good at writing an estimate. I'm very good I'm very well versed in Reg 64, all right, which is the controlling entity here in New York State, which is supposed to check the authority of the insurance companies and safeguard the consumer. But I would argue that shit's gone out the window. That ship is sailing and moving further and further away from the dock. All right. And unfortunately, thanks to Governor Cuomo, who wanted to pay back his freaking cronies in the insurance industry after he got elected, he saw fit to destroy the Department of Insurance and moved whatever was left of that into the DFS here in New York State, which is Department of Financial Services. They are adequately inexperienced and incapable of handling most of these matters. All right. And when they do, they could give a shit less. All right. Used to be back in my day, folks, if you put an insurance department of insurance complaint in, everybody's attention was gotten at the insurance. I mean, I'm talking about like alarm bells went off. You were under time constraints to reply to that adequately, intelligently, coherently, also citing the different aspects of the complaint and offering a complete and comprehensive explanation for what happened, how it happened, and why they took the action that they did. All right. And same thing with the body shop. Body shops would put insurance department complaints in as well. Today, I was putting a bunch in. You know what? They go nowhere. I get boilerplate responses. So, it's crazy, right? And I know you might be scratching your head and thinking, this guy goes on and on about this shit. And I know, and I say this all the time in the show. All right. I always get this in there. I understand what a lot of people might be thinking, but what does this have to do with me, right? That's probably, at the end of the day, that's the question that comes out, right? What does this got to do with me? Well, here's what it has to do with you. Here's what it has to do with you. Number one, your deductible, right? You keep raising that because insurance is getting more and more expensive. No problem. The thing is, body shop margins are collapsing. I don't give a shit when anybody says out there, about this guy, he's making millions and everything. Bullshit. Yeah, you might be making millions, but you're not making the millions you should be or were. Okay? Margins are collapsing in the body shop industry. They're not what they used to be 30, 40, 50 years ago. All right? So margins are collapsing across all aspects of the business too, not just on the profit side. So the margins are collapsing. The deductibles are going up. Materials, all right, and parts are getting more and more expensive, including refinishing in the paint department area. All right, it used to be that the one of the most expensive aspects of the auto body was in frame. That's over. Now it's clearly involves refinishing and painting and things like that. All right. So all of these things come together to form a perfect storm against you, the consumer. Not them, not anybody else, you. You drive in with your car all banged up and you have a $1,500 deductible and some jackass in your agency or broker tells you, don't worry about it, the body shop's going to help you. It ain't there anymore, folks. They're not helping you. Ain't happening. And if you take your car to an insurance-sponsored shop with you, you're going to pay every penny and some and get a real shit-ass job. Okay? Again, they're not going to tell you this. We're going to tell you that. Crash course. We're going to tell you the way it is. Go to an insurance-sponsored shop and get shit work. Okay? Because that's how these guys survive. They survive on volume, and they survive on cutting corners, and they survive on not really giving a shit about you. Tough. I don't care. I said it. You don't like it? If you're one of those shops out there, too bad. All right? Too damn lazy to market and advertise your own business. So instead, you get in bed with the insurance company because they're going to send you work. And you basically, prostitute yourself to them and screw your own customers. That's what you do when you do that, okay? That's what you do. You don't want to admit it? Tough shit. Take a look in a mirror. You should buy a mirror and put it in your office. Start looking at it. Because that's what's going on. All right? So, to wrap up the show here, okay? To wrap up the show, when you hear me talk about these things and then you start scratching your head going, but what does this got to do with me? That's what it's got to do with you, folks. High deductibles, tight, collapsing margins at the body shop means you're paying. Okay? Means you're going to pay. And guess what? When the insurance companies, they keep evolving, keep finding ways to cut corners. Folks, I got Allstate and State Farm. All right, I'm going to leave you with this. Allstate and State Farm will put 9 suppliers, right? Your car. You bring your car to me. I try and fix your car, and they tell me to go look at 9 different fucking places to buy shit parts. These are shit parts. Used parts all over the country. Tricky Dick, Bam Bam, all this shit I never even heard of. Mississippi, Missouri, Arkansas, Utah, California. This is what they want. This is what Allstate, State Farm, and Progressive want us to do. They want us to go fishing around for all kinds of garbage shit all across the country, have it delivered here, and then find a way to put it on your car. Okay? That's what's going on, folks. That's what you should know. Your agent's not going to tell you that because he just wants to sell insurance. Your broker's not going to tell you that because he don't give a shit. But we're going to tell you that here. All right? And at the end of the day, it's coming back to you. That's just how this is going to affect you in your pocket. Okay? And that's why you need to listen to this show and you need to understand what's going on out there. And we're going to help you navigate this and mitigate this. All right? And one of the easiest ways, all right, to help mitigate some of this stuff and ensure that you won't get caught up in this, right, that you won't end up on the bad side of things, is to bring your car to V&J Auto Body. Okay, V&J Auto Body is one of our amazing sponsors. They've been with us from the beginning. Hey, folks, I worked there for over 10 years. I can't say enough about V&J. Go check them out, VandJAutobody.com. You can take a virtual tour over there. This is a state-of-the-art facility. All right, been around for 40 years, still family-owned. All right, we are well-positioned for the present and definitely into the future. All right, state-of-the-art facilities, equipment, technicians, processes and procedures. We have the best girls in the industry. I put them up against any insurance company claim rep. All right, and these folks are going to be able to help you file your claim, stay with you through the claim. I mean, these girls are experts in liability now. All right, they really are. I mean, they can help with liability. New York State is comparative negligence. We do also have a satellite office in Southampton. So if you're out in that part of the world, you can stop by, grab a coffee, have a tea, speak with Jerry or speak with Joe. They'd love to see you. All right, 24/7 towing and concierge service. We come to you. You don't have to come to us. We deliver rentals to you. All right, and most importantly, folks, we're looking out for you. All right, we're going to fix your car the way you need it fixed, not the way the insurance company, even if that means, this is important here, folks, even if that means we need to do things that we may not necessarily be able to capture, all right, in negotiation. All right, so go to V&J Auto Body. You can get those folks at 631-226-0070. Give them a call. Remember, when it comes to getting in an accident, it's a complex process. Don't go alone. Call V&J Auto Body and let those folks help you out. All right, we'll see you on the next show.